Hoyle.
Boy, you got it. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I've got 25 RS 0659, an act concerning traffic regulations relating to the storage of firearms in unattended vehicles, creating a traffic infraction for leaving a firearm in an unattended vehicle without securely storing such a firearm, providing exceptions and penalties therefore, and requiring the Office of the Attorney General and Kansas Highway Patrol to create certain educational campaign materials.
All right, I'm a little slow. Can you repeat that RS number again slowly?
0659.
0659. All right, does anybody have any questions regarding the bill? Is there any objection to the introduction of the bill? If not, the bill is introduced. Thank you. Any other bill introductions? Is that you, Representative Auerkamp? You got to go like this. I'm half blind. All right.
Thank you,
What do you have,
Mr. Chairman?
Representative?
Ask request for RS 0794. And the bill would allow for cities to lower the speed limit down to 25 miles per hour in residential city streets without having to go through the engineering study process.
Does anybody have any questions regarding the bill? Any objection to introducing the bill? Seeing none, the bill is introduced. Thank you.
Okay.
Oh, do you have a question? I'm sorry. You're from that one.
I am
place,
from that
aren't you?
one area of Wichita that has a 20-mile-an-hour speed limit throughout its whole area. And I don't think they had to go through an engineering study.
That's how we grow government, Representative.
Oh, yeah.
The statute, there's a lot of different, may I, Mr. Chairman?
Sure.
So there's, in statute, you can go down to 20, but it has to be designated, I think, a school zone or certain elements like that. Or they have to do an engineering study to drop it all down to 20. But specifically for cities that want to follow statute and they want to do it the right way, in order to lower the speed limit lower than 30 in residential areas, we do have to do an engineering study. We don't hire big lobbyists though in smaller towns.
Any other questions?
No, thank you.
Is there any objection to the introduction of the bill? If not, the bill is introduced. Thank you very much. Any other bill introductions? All right, seeing none. First thing I'd like to do today is I would like a point of personal privilege. We have a young man, John Soley, that would like to address the committee. John, welcome to the committee.
Representative Francis and members of the committee, my name is John Soley and I live at 196 Cougar Drive in Great Bend, Kansas. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today about driving privileges for people like me with autism or some other condition. My home is about 1.5 miles from my work at Barton Community College. Because I don't drive, I must live within walking distance of the college. I am very pleased to have my job, and my supervisor is very pleased with my performance. I have been a custodian at the college for almost 7 years. About 6 years ago, I began to practice my driving skills, and I participated in a driver's education course. Although I was able to properly operate the car for these short trips, I was very nervous when I was required to drive on the freeway. What I really look forward to is the opportunity to operate an autonomous vehicle that would safely maneuver streets and highways while under my limited control. I pray that this day will come soon. According to the CDC, the rate of autism for the year I was born, 1992, I was 1 in 150. The most recent statistics show that the rate is currently 1 in 36. There are, of course, many on the autism spectrum who have acquired a driver's license and others who would never be prepared for such a privilege. And there are some like me who have the ability to safely operate a vehicle in limited areas or types of driving, but are uncomfortable with freeway driving or complicated situations. A Capital One survey finds 84% of lower middle income non-car owners turn down a job opportunity due to a lack of car ownership. I have a good job, but the housing within walking distance to the college is limited and is much more expensive than I can afford. There is appropriate housing for me in Great Bend, but I can't move there because it is beyond the walking distance. I believe that I am prepared to drive to work, to church, and to shopping. I have practiced these trips, and there would be no anxiety or safety concerns for me with these limited trips. I encourage you to develop a restricted or limited license for a person like me that is comfortable with short trips or light traffic. Thank you.
Thank you, John, and thank you for sharing your story and what you would like to see. All right, committee, we've got a busy day today, so first item on the agenda will be a informational briefing on the Division of Motor Vehicles, and giving that to us today will be David Harper and Deanne Williams. Welcome to the committee, David.
David Harper, Director for the Kansas Division of Vehicles and the Kansas Division of Property Valuation. And my part's going to be very brief this morning. So as Mr. Chairman knows, I'm counting down the weeks for my retirement. So my part today is basically I wanted to introduce you to my replacement, which is Deanne Williams. So Deanne, when I joined the division as director 7 years ago, brought Deanne on as a deputy director. She left us for a couple of years and went to work for the Kansas Motor Carriers Association as the executive director, and then rejoined us here at the end of December. And then upon my retirement, she'll be stepping up and then taking over as director. So we feel very fortunate to have somebody with her experience, knowledge to take over. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Deanne and our team.
And I don't want to step on Deanne's presentation, but will at some point you introduce your other staff and give us an idea about what areas they can help us as we give better service to our
I think
constituents?
that's at the start of Deanne's presentation, so definitely we'll do that. Yes, sir.
Thanks.
All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Welcome to the committee, Deanne. Matt, we got that. Do we have that slideshow ready to go up?
Thank you. We'll go ahead and get started. As David said, I am Deanne Williams, and I serve as let me look at my title here. I am the vehicle coordinator right now, and glad to be back at Department of Revenue. And we'll go ahead and get started with our presentation. Welcome to the Division of Vehicles Annual Report. We're going to keep this brief and bring you up to date on information that will help you as you go home, and your constituents may ask a question, then hopefully you'll have the answer that you need. And if not, you're going to have the person that you need to get that answer from. Okay, first of all, we're going to talk about the staffing. We have 393 individuals that work for Division of Vehicles. This includes the director's office, the Division of Vehicles training team, the quality assurance, mobile driver's license group, and we also have all of the driver's license folks, whether they're here in Topeka or all around the state. Vehicle services is the title group, and we also have commercial vehicle dealers and driver solutions. And so we have quite a few different groups that work for us. Everybody works together, and you know, we try to get things done as quickly as possible and answer questions that anyone may have. Okay, now we're going to move into vehicle services, and our vehicle services senior manager is Deanna Shepard. So if you have any questions on any of the vehicle items, titles, or any of that type of stuff, Deanna would be your contact there. And assisting her is LaDonna Garcia. She's our the supervisor for titles and registration. And then we have Rod Allen, and he oversees the commercial vehicle dealers. And those two folks are not here with us today. We have in our vehicle services, they consist of, you know, they support the county treasurers, and as they register new vehicles, as they renew vehicles, any questions those folks have, then they get in touch with Deanna and her group, and they get everything worked out. We also have commercial vehicle registration, which is the large trucks and trailers, intrastate and interstate also. We have vehicle dealers, licensing, and administration within our group. And then one of the things I wanted to mention was the last big system that we deployed was the NMVDIS system, and that is the National Motor Vehicle Title Information System, and that is under Deanna's group, under the titles. And what that does, it checks nationwide to make sure that the title that we would have received is the last title that was issued. So we want to make sure that we're not, you know, titles aren't getting washed or anything like that. We are in our 2025 replacement of embossed plates. That's our standard plate that you see up here. With the new standard plate that we issued this year, it was issued to vehicle registration, heavy trucks and trailers, and those folks will receive new plates. Okay. And you know, to renew your registration, you do it the same as any other year. You can either go into the county treasurer's office and renew. You can go online and renew through ICANN. You can renew through the mail. And what will happen if you're getting a new plate this year, you will get a temporary permit. It's going to be like a 30-day temporary. And then you will also receive your registration, and then that decal that goes on your tag. You don't put it on that paper tag. You're going to put that on the tag once you receive it in the mail. And you'll receive that tag within the 30 days. And then you put the registration expiration decal on there, and you should be ready to go. We have 4 new plates that you all approved last year. And currently, those are available. Now, as long as you don't want to have those personalized, then you can order those. And that registration will go into the to Center Industries overnight. You'll still go ahead and get a 30-day temporary, just like you did with the other plate. But and you'll receive your registration just like you would have, and get that decal also. But right now, we just can't do the personalized plates. We're doing some testing. We're having some issues with our file. So staff is working on that very, very diligently to try to get that taken care of. And please remember, as you order these new plates, then there are additional fees for distinctive and personalized registrations. And you know, I think probably, hopefully, the Chiefs one will be a great one too, that everybody will be wanting to get right away. A little bit more about that. And I know you guys will see this on, you probably have it on your, I don't know, is it your S drive or whatever? So you'll be able to read all those little special things that you won't be able to read up here right now. This is a breakdown of all of our vehicles that have personalized fees, the special plates, and then the royalty fee. It does not include the registration fee. So as you see, you'll see like a $40, $45, you might see a $20 on there. Those are those special fees, and it's not the registration fee. Personalized plates. And we do personalized plates. We get a new personalized plate every 5 years. And this year, the standard and the personalized plates, we put it out so that, these were I think we had 6 or so that you could vote on. And the one that had the most votes was the winner. And those are the ones that you've seen up here. So they look quite a bit alike, but very nice looking plates, and so we're very proud of that. As we've talked for years, I know that you guys have gotten phone calls from folks that have said, I've gotten a ticket for a plate that is not mine, I don't have that plate anymore, or it's a duplicate plate or something like that. Then we're working very diligently to get those taken care of so that, we, in 2023, we went to 7-digit license plates from the 6, and hopefully that has helped. And so we know that we don't have duplicate digit plates on the 7s. So we're slowly working away to get those others replaced. And we will have, it'll take us 3 or 4 years to get all of those taken care of, all of the plates replaced. And that is going to come with a price tag of $1.5 million. So we're working on that, and hopefully we'll have that taken care of, like I said, here in the next few years. This is another one that you can't quite see. This is the sheet that tells you how many plates for 2024 that were ordered. And so every plate that we have is listed on this page, and it tells you exactly how many plates we have that are active right now. Okay, now we're going to move on to our training. Christy Karlovitz. Christy is with us today. She heads up our training team for the Division of Vehicles, and then she also has quality assurance, the quality assurance group under her. The training staff stays very busy as they train on driver's license, movers, which is the vehicle registration system, and commercial vehicle training. We found that, county staff, vehicle services, third-party vendors, driver's license staff, they've all adjusted to the remote type of training. But there are times that we have to bring staff in, and especially for driver's license training, they come in and they have to, it's kind of a look and feel at different types of IDs and things. And so they do that training also. The quality assurance team, then they review driver's license transactions, title transactions, vehicle registration transactions for the counties, state employees, third-party vendors, and then the staff presents those findings back out to the staff that they reviewed, and they do that as an ongoing education process. So they do very well with that, and we're glad to have those folks with us. Product integration, Jessie Tyson, and Jessie is not with us today, but she oversees those projects. We have our online driver's license knowledge testing that went live in April of 2021, and this has been very popular with the new drivers. Of course, they would most prefer to take the test at home versus taking the test in the office. And so and we have ways to go out and double check and make sure everything is is being done correctly. So that is very popular. Driver's education in 2022, then KDOR assumed the oversight of 50 driving schools, and we also have 783 driver's license instructors that we oversee. And that came from the Department of Education. Mobile services, then that is our mobile driver's license unit. They take the portable driver's license machines out to different things throughout the year. A lot of times they'll go out with our CDL folks as they're working with custom harvesters, as they're working with other groups that need to have driver's license processed or their CDL processed. And so then they don't have to make another stop at the driver's license office. They're able to get their driver's license paper right there. The mobile team, they've participated in state fair. They go to large retirement homes and renew licenses there. They've gone to many community events and large corporate events. So if you ever have the need, then let Jesse know, and we can be sure to get somebody out there so that they're at an event in your community. Now we're going to go over to driver solutions, and Lacey Black, she's our senior manager, and she has Janelle Robinson, which is the coordinator and supervisor, as well as Kate Swartz. She's our other supervisor for that group. This group's in charge of keeping up to date all of the driver's license records, and this includes the sanctions, convictions, and reinstatements from the courts. Lacey and her team last year worked very closely with Senator Faust-Godot on Senate Bill 500, and it did pass. This deals with automatic 60-day restrictions for some revoked drivers. This restriction was implemented December 29 of 24, and in 2024 we received 3,127 applications, and 834 of those applications were approved. And our next one is Kent Selk. He's with driver's license. He's our senior manager. And
Hey, can I interrupt you just a second?
Sure.
I want everybody on the committee to see Kent Selk one more time. I just want to tell you, buddy, you have bailed me out more times than I can mention. So if you've got a problem, I mean, he'll always shoot you straight. And if he can help, he will. Sorry for the shout out, Kent. And by the way, if any of them ask me for your cell phone number, I promise I'll give it to them. Okay, sorry about that, Dan.
no, that's okay. Let's see, I'm sorry. I think I've forgotten to go through. Sorry, guys. Kent Selk has several people that report to him, and this is a list of those folks we have throughout the state. And right now we have our CDL coordinator position that is open, and I think they're going to be doing interviews for it shortly. Real ID. 84% of Kansas license holders have the Real ID or the Gold Star on their driver's license. And 99.9% of the folks that have decided, no, I don't want the Real ID, they have been offered to get the Real ID. It's just that they haven't taken us up on that. So I want to make sure that you all know that, everybody's had the opportunity to do so. And we're way ahead of all the other states at 84%. So that's something that I think we need to be proud of, and driver's license needs to be proud of that also. Okay, this is shows all of the different driver's license offices, state and county offices, and you'll be able to see the ones that are closest to you in your communities. Our online services, renewals for vehicles, ICANN has, in which you can log on and you can renew your vehicle through ICANN. 571,000 folks did that this last year, and there were 2.7 million total renewals that were done. And driver's license, ICANN did 24,000 of those out of 405,000 renewals that were completed. And wait times in the driver's license offices is less than 15 minutes. Of course, we like appointments, but if you just walk into the office, we're not going to turn anybody away. Appointments and walk-ins, about 50-50. So, you know, if we're going to take the people that have the appointment first, and usually everybody's in and out of there, like I said, within 15 minutes. And we've attached a list of the online services and applications that we have, as well as other contacts, and we thought maybe that would be helpful to you. And then the other day, we were talking about, you know, when we talked about mobile driver's license, we talked about AMVA, and we had some other acronyms that we threw out. We put together a list we thought might be helpful for you guys, so that, you know, when we come in and talk about different things, you'll say, oh yeah, I think I remember that. So anyway, hopefully that's helpful to you. And then on our last page here, this is the contact information. So you have everybody's contacts, and there's phone numbers and email addresses on there. So we do have two other folks that I'd like to introduce. We have Zach Denny, and then we have Charles Bradley. And Charles is our attorney that helps us with all of our things that we all have questions on. And so with that, if you have any questions, we'd be happy to answer.
Thank you very much, Deanna. And you were always a great help when you were at Motor Vehicles, and so's Deanna. So anyway, great staff. Does anybody have any questions regarding license plates or registrations or driver's licenses? Representative Hoy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for the presentation. And I'm wondering if those of us who got the new digital plate with the new plate number on it, on the old plate design, will we be getting another new plate again this year with the updated design?
Deanna's, I think, going to have to help us with that one.
Deanne, come up and say who you are and what your title is.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee, for having me. I'm Deanna Shepard. I'm the Senior Manager for Vehicles. No, you will not receive a new plate. That would require additional funding to replace all those.
Do you know, thank you, and do you know how many of us, I mean, I'm guessing it's the H's.
It was about the H's where the new one kicked in. It was actually, I believe, August is before. No, H's would have been May.
We got them in June is when they, yeah.
It took a while to get the final prep and sign off on that. There were some issues with the distributor that we had. So the first half of the alphabet did not get the new plate design. The bottom half did. But we will not be replacing those, no.
At all down the line?
No.
Is there an option to purchase one of those if you want one, or?
Yes, you can take that plate back in and say, I want the new plate design, and your county can take care of that for you.
Oh, I'll let people know, because I sure do love the capital on those plates. Thank you.
Representative Delperdane.
The fine representative across the room took the words right out of my mouth. No further questions.
Representative Collins.
Same here. That did answer my question, but it brought up another question for me. If we do that and pay to get a replacement, can we keep the same number?
No.
All right. Thank you.
You will not be able to keep the same plate text. You'll get a new one.
All right. Thank you.
All right, this is a little snarky, but that license plate redesign is the gift that keeps on giving, isn't it? Representative Wellborn.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I do have a question on Senate Bill 5. I happen to be the one that sponsored it and carried it across Senate floor. Are we getting much activity on Senate Bill 500 as it relates to suspensions and buybacks?
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Lacey Black, the manager of Driver Solutions, and yes, I have not gathered the data yet. We implemented on December 29th, so right before the first of the year, and we were gonna let it run 30 days and then get that data. So once I compile what we've gotten for the first 30 days, I can get that information out to the committee.
That information would be helpful. Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
Any other questions? Representing Minix.
I was a little bit curious as to the cost when we change plates. The other day, my wife was so ecstatic. We had a box that was about 1 foot high and 2 foot long. Inside were 15 plates for my farm. The ones I put on those vehicles, I don't think a law enforcement officer had ever seen. We're quite a ways out in the country. Those vehicles don't go very far, the vast majority of them. A feed truck, a trailer that's used just right there in a small area. It seems like we go to a lot of expense. I was amazed. Even the postage on that box was amazing. There was lots of nice bubble wrap inside that my granddaughter enjoyed, but there was about this much of actual material in that big box.
Well, when you take that vehicle on the road, you're going to be legal now instead of, okay.
Honestly, I don't think.
All right, Representative Goddard. Or did you have anything else, Representative Minix? Representative Goddard.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know, we have a tendency to keep adding and adding and adding and never subtracting. And I've noticed on the list of new plate orders that you have for the year 2024, there are a few plates that just had very minimal number of orders. Do you have any recommendations as to putting a number that if there's not above that number, the number of plates ordered, do you have a recommendation for discontinuing any of those plates?
Well, there is a bill out, I think is it Senate Bill 18, that is actually going to take that number down from the 500 now down to 250. And then you have to have 50 vehicles renew.
And that's on an annual basis?
Yes.
So if they get to, say you only have 30 renewed, then the plate is discontinued? Okay, so that's a decision that can be made in revenue. Okay, well, thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any other questions? All right, seeing none, thank you very much for the presentation. Next on the agenda, we have Vanessa Spartan with the Drive to Zero Safety Program for KDOT. Welcome to the committee, Vanessa.
Okay, there we go. Vanessa Spartan with Kansas Department of Transportation. I am the Chief of Transportation Safety. What I'm going to focus on today is our Drive to Zero initiative. Ellie, slide up. So just a quick overview, I like to start off with kind of the why behind not only the numbers, but kind of the magnitude of the problem that we're hoping to address. The strategic plan that guides our efforts, the stakeholders that help to guide it, some recent progress we've made over the last couple of years, and then kind of some highlights on some events coming up if you want to stay engaged. So over the last 5 years, we've lost nearly 2,000 people to crashes on Kansas roads. That includes state highways, local city and county roads as well. And over 7,500 people have been seriously injured. Those serious injuries can be disabling in nature. They do require hospitalization. So we like to focus on these two levels of crashes for two different reasons. First off, we have some performance measures around these areas, but also because typically at that serious injury level, they often can be life-altering injuries. so they can have lasting impacts on those individuals, their families, community, society. The second point is really that the only thing really stopping a serious injury from becoming a fatality is whether or not we have post-crash care. So that's an important thing for us to follow in terms of long-term trends and patterns. Behind those numbers, there's a lot of real stories out there. These are just some snippets of headlines. We also get some early reporting from the Highway Patrol that gives us some understanding of what's happening out there on a week-by-week basis. What you end up seeing is that, victims are not just the people that are injured or killed in crashes. It's also their friends, their family members, their communities that have been impacted by these events. We do have some positive news for us, for the state of Kansas. Our 2024 fatality tracking, we update this every week, and we do this by either early notifications that we receive from the Highway Patrol or by scanning through media, right, to pick up like there was a fatal crash that occurred, and then we track those events. So we're down 11% from where we were in 2023. So those are preliminary numbers for 2024, so they're pending trauma and investigative outcomes. That's not only 1 year down, that's our 4th year down as a state. So that is very noteworthy compared to peer states across the US that are kind of trending up and down over these last 4 years. The other high level note, we were kind of tracking 2024 saying this is a very, very low year for our state. So we went back into our archives and we actually found that since 1947, this is preliminarily the lowest year that we've recorded for the state of Kansas. So 344 people did lose their lives. That's noteworthy. We still have a lot of work to do, but it also is a sign that we're making some really good progress as a state. I will note that in 2025, like I said, we're tracking this every week. We are up compared to 2024. So it's a cautionary tale that, we still have a lot of work to do. This is an adaptive challenge that it keeps changing. There's constant moving parts. So as I mentioned, we track fatalities and serious injuries. I wanted to try and highlight kind of what's happening in our state. So since 2018, we're actually down 8% in all crashes in the state. We're down in fatality crashes, possible injury crashes, and non-injury property damage only crashes, but we are up in serious injury and in minor injury crashes. So the takeaway from that is we're reducing severity, we're reducing overall frequency, but then that serious injury level is going up. The results of this, every crash has a different type of cost based upon its severity level. So overall, societally, we have a 4% increase in crash costs despite having crashes being down. The big takeaway here is that it is still a success because we are reducing severity, right? We are saving lives in Kansas, so that there is a good takeaway. There's just still some work to do.
Vanessa, can you talk just a little bit? It says in 2019, there was a change in definition of serious
Thank you.
Injury.
Yeah, so in 2019, our crash report had to be updated to meet the federal standards of what is a serious injury crash. So it included more injury types. That also resulted immediately that next year, once we took that into account, we had a 47% immediate increase. So there are more injury types that are covered in that crash category as well. So it's a good point to note.
That you already have covered, I see by.
Yeah. So yeah. That's kind of the big takeaway. So where do we see these serious injuries most increasing, right? If everything else is kind of going down, why is this one going up? So what we end up seeing is that we're seeing more serious injury crashes on local roads, so city and county roads, and particularly in urban areas and within urban area boundaries. And then when we take all of those fatal and injury crashes and we look at the crash costs, we actually see that on the state system and on rural roads, our crash costs are pretty flat. We're not increasing across that. So that increase in crash costs is really happening on the urban system within cities and counties that are within urban area boundaries. Okay, so that's it for the numbers part for now. So I wanted to talk a little bit about our strategic plan that guides the work that we do as a state. So by federal words, it's called a strategic highway safety plan, but it is supposed to be for all roads and all road users. So the word highway is a little bit of a misnomer. But the one in Kansas that we're focusing on, we're calling it the Kansas Drive to Zero plan to align with our mission. And our mission is to prevent those serious injury and fatal crashes from occurring by reinforcing layers of the safe system in Kansas. This graphic on the left shows something from USDOT as part of their National Roadway Safety Strategy, which is that it's this holistic approach to how do you prevent fatality from occurring from crashes. I'm going to drop down just to the Swiss cheese model as a starting point, and then I'll go back to the bullets. So this graphic is meant to illustrate that point of why system redundancy matters. So the way that it works is basically that we can prevent fatalities by reinforcing layers of the safe system. So in this graphic, the road users failed by making a bad choice, right? Erring on the road. The vehicles didn't have advanced safety features. They weren't traveling at proper speeds. But in this scenario, there was road infrastructure redundancies in place to prevent that fatality or that severe crash from occurring. If we didn't have those road features in place, then the next layer of protection is post-crash care. So the idea is it takes all layers of the system to fail in order for a fatality to occur. So that's kind of the mission behind the strategic plan, right? All the different things that come into play in crashes. So the plan is data-driven, but it requires a lot of communication and collaboration. And it's because, as you guys know, data doesn't drive decisions, people do based on the values that they hold. So we have to do that continuous collaboration to understand where we can make progress. It's a living document with strategic actions and specifically helps us to guide some of our program investment areas. It's developed with 3 different types of stakeholder groups. So we have our Drive to Zero Coalition, which is our executive body, and we have strategy teams and support teams. I'll go over those in the next slide. And then we have a specific focus in this next plan to quote unquote localize the Drive to Zero. So to take something as a statewide initiative and say, okay, what's the role that cities and counties play in this mission? And really to focus on what they can help with. So the Drive to Zero Coalition is our executive body. They're traffic safety champions, and they understand that at our core, we are better together than on our own. So this coalition includes 25 organizations with appointed representatives that represent local, state, and federal agencies, nonprofit and advocacy organizations, and the private sector. We have representatives from the House and Senate Transportation Committees, and we thank Representative Francis for serving on the coalition. And as you can see, these logos this is the representative organizations that all serve on the coalition. So we're trying to take that safe system approach of all the different layers and understanding the different roles that the agencies, the organizations can play in this space. So below the coalition level, we have strategy teams and support teams. The strategy teams work on developing and implementing our strategic initiatives, and the support teams provide their technical expertise and resources. I'm going to go over the strategy teams in the next slide, but on the support teams, they're in the areas of data, policy, and communications support. I'm not going to go over these word by word, but these are the strategy teams and their objectives. So in short, the Safer People objective focuses on road user behaviors, right, and how to improve those road user behaviors. The Safer Vehicles space focuses on the vehicle systems and features that have additional safety features and how we can make those work best in our state. Safer Roads is about roadway designs and those environments. Safer Speeds is a combination of design, education, and enforcement. And then post-crash care is a combination of 2 things. It's both emergency medical care as well as traffic incident management to reduce the likelihood of secondary crashes. So the Drive to Zero plan, we've been underway updating it for better part of 9 months, I think. And we currently are at 23 strategies in the draft plan. We started with 76 through the stakeholder engagement process and looking at things from other plans and assessments and all the different things we could do as a state. But these 23 that we're focusing on are really the things that we plan to focus implementation on over the next 5 years. When we took that list of 23 to our stakeholder teams and to the coalition, we asked, what do you think is most important out of these 23? There was 9 that rose to the top as ones that the 200 plus stakeholders that we're engaging with that said, yes, these are the ones to focus on. So in Safer People, it is continuing our safety corridor pilot program that we started in 2023. It's also making improvements to impaired driving testing in the state. Under the Safer Vehicle space, it's what we can do with connected vehicles and the enhancements and integration of infrastructure with connected vehicles. Safer Roads, focusing on high-risk urban roads. That really gets back to that statistic earlier of what we're seeing happening in serious injuries on urban roads. Prioritizing implementation of local safety plans. I have a slide to talk about kind of the magnitude of what's happening at local agencies on safety plans. In the speed area, there's an excessive speeding initiative that really focuses on a multi-prong effort of how we can combat the issues of excessive speeding in the state. There's a safety camera pilot looking at proof of concepts of what could be done in our state, has been done in other states. And then there's two in the post-crash care space. One is the assessment of the timeliness and quality of care in the state, understanding where we lack the golden hour in emergency response. And then the second one is linking crash EMS and trauma data to better understand trauma outcomes and how it affects motor vehicle crashes and our performance as a state. So I'm going to highlight a couple recent successes. So in 2023, summer of 2023, we launched our first crash statistics dashboard called the Drive to Zero dashboard. It focuses on fatal and serious injury crashes in the state. In this dashboard, it's highly interactive. So you can look at issues at a statewide level. You can zoom in all the way down to the intersection level to understand what is happening in different areas. It allows you to see the nature, frequency, and distribution of those severe crashes. This is just the summary dashboard that has all of the fatal and serious injuries, but we also have dashboards for different emphasis areas. So say, for example, you're an organization that's working on occupant protection and belt use, you can go to the occupant protection dashboard and understand what's happening in that space with unbelted occupants in our state. Oh, I wanted to highlight one thing on this too. So this was our first one, and it focuses on all fatal and serious injury crashes. Shortly after launching this one, we also launched dashboards for our safety corridors, focusing on everything of injury and fatal on the safety corridors that we launched. And then in fall of 2023, we launched a vulnerable road user safety assessment tool, helping local agencies to understand priority areas for pedestrians and cyclists from a safety standpoint. So I alluded to the safety corridor pilot program. This launched in summer in 2023. It is on 4 corridors in the state that have higher than expected crash patterns, crash frequency, particularly seeing driver contributing circumstances in those crashes. So these aren't necessarily the highest in the state. There were other ones that also were kind of ranked high. We worked with some stakeholders along the corridors, including local stakeholders, highway patrol, to understand kind of resources, needs, understanding extensive corridors. One of the big things was the ability to use enforcement as part of the corridor program. So a safety corridor program takes a all hands on deck approach. So it includes education, enforcement, engineering, and emergency response solutions in a very targeted geographic area. This is very early into the program. We're running until 2028 with this pilot to see how this type of geographic concentrated effort works. But what we're seeing in our first year is severities are down and speeds are down within the first year. So we're continuing to monitor this every single year to kind of see how performance is changing. I wanted to highlight a bit of what's happening at the local level. So we at KDOT started to fund county local road safety plans several years back. 102 of 105 counties have safety plans that focus on major collector roads or paved routes in terms of their needs, infrastructure, safety deployment needs, right, at the county level. There's also a U.S. Department of Transportation grant called the Safe Streets and Roads for All grant. We have been very successful in Kansas with pursuit of these dollars. So to date, we have 49 recipient organizations in our state. They include plans, demonstration projects, and implementation projects in those program areas. The map at right actually shows you all of the SS4A recipients, and this is on we have a website for SS4A. So you can kind of go into your area of where you represent, click on those polygons to see what they're doing with those dollars in terms of each city or regional entity, what they're doing. And then I wanted to talk a little bit about, we talked about the statewide coalition, the Drive to Zero coalition, but we're seeing other coalitions forming across the state. So Mid-America Regional Council in the Kansas City area has the Destination Safe Coalition that predates some of this, right? This is work that's been underway a long time in the Kansas City area. But last year, we successfully worked with Wichita Area MPO. They established the ITC Safe Coalition. And that was a byproduct of them doing their own safety plan and realizing this is going to take a long time to work through all of these needs and understand our priorities. And then following our safety corridor deployment, the city of Wamego decided to form their own safe driving coalition. And that represents the first local government that decided to take kind of an all hands on deck approach to safety within their community. Some other things, so we've been expanding partnerships and engagement. I'm going to try and hit on these at a high level, but I wanted you to be aware that we have a peer-to-peer learning and mentoring program in high schools called Safe Schools. Stands for Seatbelts Are for Everyone. I think we're at 103 high schools throughout the state. We also host a teen transportation safety conference where this past fall we had it in Wichita, and we had about 200 attendees at that, where they're learning from each other, talking about what they're doing in their high schools and in their communities. We do traffic incident management training for first responders to help with securing the crash scene and preventing secondary crashes. The Fans with the Plan partnership is a new one kind of for our state. It's been evolving over several years, but this is an example of what we consider non-traditional partners. So it's sports and event venues that have decided to share the traffic safety message, particularly focused on impaired driving. And one of the things that we see as a success in that is, I like to use this example of Azura Amphitheater in Wyandotte County might be advertising about Country Stampede. They share that traffic safety messages, and then we're seeing bars and restaurants sharing that same message with their customers. So we're seeing kind of this non-traditional partnership grow under the Fans with the Plan message. The front seat interviews I wanted to make you aware of. The bottom image is actually from our Drive Safe Sedgwick campaign, which was an award-winning campaign. One of the things that I think is really great about this campaign is that it's testimonials of real Kansans, both survivors, surviving family members, first responders that are kind of telling their story of what happened to them or their families. And then we have different types of public engagement events that we do to help us understand locally what the needs are, but also helping us to inform our programming efforts and how we can be most effective. So I wanted to make you aware of two events coming up. You will be getting a postcard for the Drive to Zero Day at the Capitol. It is February 12th from 9 to 12. We'll be on the second floor in the rotunda. So it's a media event, networking opportunity. There'll be booths from different partnering entities that have some information on display if you want to engage with any of them. And then on March 4th and 5th, we're going to host our annual Transportation Safety Conference. This one will be in Wichita this year. Last year, we had over 400 attendees. This year, we'll have 16 concurrent sessions and 3 keynote and plenary speakers. We also have a period of time that we do on the second day for regional breakout discussions to understand what's happening, different needs across the state. I think that's my last slide. Okay, so my contact information's up on here. We have a Drive to Zero email account, and our website is up there as well. You can get to the dashboards through that website. You can get to the SS4A information through that website. I typically like to end these with kind of a little bit of a call to action, which is that traffic safety is really challenging, right? It's adaptive, it's constantly evolving. And I think it's imperative that we all recognize that it's kind of an ongoing, continuous challenge that we have to continue to commit ourselves to. So open up to any questions.
Does anybody have any questions? Representative Delpertine.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. On the page you had where fatalities are down, I'm just kind of curious, the COVID years, 2020, 2021, obviously it was pretty obvious the traffic amounts were less, but yet fatalities took an increase. Any words or comments on that?
Yeah, so anecdotally, there's a lot of research on this across the country that really talked about that congestion was normalizing speeds, particularly in urban areas. And when congestion went down, we saw speeds increase, and therefore the severity of crashes went up as well. So we did see a little bit of that jump from 2019 to 2020. One of the things I want to take note of is that right about that same time, we started talking with the Highway Patrol about what they're doing in this space. And this is really where the Highway Patrol started to say, we're going to ramp up speed enforcement, and we're going to try and look at where we can target some of those efforts. So we tried to also work, we have law enforcement liaisons, so we tried to work with the local agencies to try and get the message out there about how even presence, having law enforcement present on the corridor can help to mitigate speeds.
Representative Wilborn, did you have a question? Okay. All right. Anybody else have any questions? Representative Minix.
Just before I come over, I had a email. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Comes from the Kansas Rural Water Association. It says some group, Wallet Hub, released results of a new nationwide study on January 21st, marking the Sunflower State as the top state for people to drive in overall. Kansas stood out when compared to other states for its infrastructure, traffic safety, and high-quality roads. So I want to commend all you folks. I don't know who Wallet Hub is, but they must be pretty smart people. Do have a somewhat technical question. Are you aware of the informational system that's on Highway 83?
Yes, the smart corridor that's underway, is that what you're referring to?
The one from about Garden City to Oberlin that gives information on road conditions, potential wrecks ahead, or bottlenecks with the wind generation and everything else. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I think what we're referring to is we have an ITS system that does digital message information. So there's more work underway on the US 83 corridor to do more information that actually can be generated from vehicles on the road. So it's not all based upon, someone calling in to dispatch, understanding what's occurring on those corridors. So I think that's probably the level of comfort I feel with answering that question. But it is we have basically a traffic management center that figures out kind of those messages and which corridors they go to.
It's going to be highly beneficial more in the future as people learn how to use it better. But thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yep. Any other questions? All right, seeing none, thank you very much for the presentation, Vanessa. All right, committee. I did forget one very important piece of information. Representative Collins' birthday is today. And did you turn 50 this year, Ken?
Actually, it's the 12th anniversary of my 50th birthday.
All right. Congratulations. Do you want us to sing for you?
Yeah, I
Vice Chair
think
says
I
we have to
will.
sing happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear. Happy birthday to you. Or, the problem about this is we're not going to catch somebody someday and then they're going to have their feelings hurt. So I apologize.
Okay, well, thank you for that. And I really wish I'd been born 2 days later on Kansas Day, but anyway, I got as close as I could.
All right. All right, committee. Tomorrow, we're going to have a hearing on House Bill 2030. It's excluding dealers and manufacturers of trailers from certain provisions of Vehicle Dealers and Manufacturers Licensing Act. So get your bill reading skills up. And then on Wednesday, we're going to have hearing on House Bill 2031 permitting driving school instructors to possess a motorcycle driver's license from any state. And then also one designating a portion of K5 and Interstate Highway 635 for Marvin S. Robinson. So that's what we have on the agenda right now. I do think we may meet Thursday. We're still kind of trying to finalize that. We might knock some of these bills out, work them Thursday if we don't have any, if they're not too contentious, the hearings on those. Did you get those handed out, Walter? Just also so that you know, research did a great job talking about HB 2030 to let you kind of understand a little bit better about what that bill does. So if you have a chance, it might help us to look into that bill a little bit more deeper. Is there anything else for the good of the committee? If not, we're adjourned.